friends, welcome back. Since the weather here is going to be in the 80s for the next few days, I thought it would be fun to do something that was just kind of light and fresh and maybe a little spring flavored, although in Portland 80-degree weather is for late June, not mid-May. But you know, that's how it goes these days. So yeah, I thought that would be kind of fun. And I have a few things to play with that I have a few things here that are newer to me. Some of them are more new release and some are more just, I didn't actually know I wanted to try that. So that should be fun too. I am going to start off by just quick putting on my under eye corrector, and I'll do that off camera and be right back. This is the same one that I've been using from e.l.f. and I just find that it helps give me a nice even base, and often I don't even want to pile on concealer on top of it because it already does as much as I'm aiming for to neutralize things. Not to just completely blank them out, but even them a little bit. And speaking of evening things out, you're going to notice that the lighting is quite different than it has been because working with natural light can be quite unpredictable and sometimes isn't so great for being able to choose what time of day that I'm going to be recording. I went and got the lighting kit that I'd had my eye on for a while, and I think that that's going to make a pretty big difference in terms of being able to see texture more clearly, I hope, although I'll probably have to, adjust the position of my head a little bit so that the light reflection doesn't smooth things out in ways that aren't accurate. And also just more accurate color depiction, which I think can be really important. And so, yeah, I'm gonna give that a try and let me know what you think. Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention was that on top of my normal skincare today, I did put on the e.l.f. Will Glow, the glowy SPF. I have it in the lightest shade, which I think is Sunbeam. And so that's going to add some luminosity here. I find on me that sometimes it is too reflective even to wear just on its own, that I get a little bit more of that metallic surface sheen. But underneath makeup, that's perfectly good. So I often like to start with that if I am not sure where I'm going with my makeup choices. I sort of have a plan today though. So I'm going to start out with my Salt New York palette again. So these are the lightest shades of the foundation, the Sneaky Balm foundation and the Best Case concealer. I have those in N13, and then I have their Bronze and Sculpt, I think it's called, in Taupe, and the Cheek and Lip tint in Rose. I'm not sure if I'll use the top two, but I'm definitely going to go in with the Sneaky Balm. And I'll just take my damp sponge here and tap a little bit onto my face, starting in the areas where I have the most redness. And while I'm doing this, I thought maybe I would chat a little bit about just some of the things I've been thinking about as I'm working on these videos. And I think I'm feeling a little existential this week because one of the thoughts that I keep coming back to is, what's the point of a makeup review? What is the purpose of doing makeup reviews when we have such a saturated product lineup, right? There is just so much out there. And I really doubt that most people... Actually, I don't think the sponge is doing very much for me today. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of coverage, less than I would expect. So let's switch to a brush. I often worry about getting too heavy-handed with the brush, but perhaps that's what I want today, is just a little bit more pigment coming out of it. So yeah, what was I saying? Oh, so it just feels like because we have so many copies of products on the market right now, and we have you know, so many people reviewing them, which is great. You get a lot of different perspectives. But it ends up feeling like, you know, we're just getting roundups of every like glowy blush wand on the market. And maybe after, you know, at this point, maybe there just isn't a lot of remaining value in that, you know, to anybody. And it's kind of boring for me to think about as a reviewer, you know, and I don't want to do anything that I don't personally find interesting because that would be silly. So I've just been thinking about like where do reviews or, you know, this kind of makeup review channel even, where does it add the most value and what's really interesting about what's happening, you know, instead of just ranking. I mean, I thought about this, like ranking all my lip products or something, you know, it'd be fun at some point, but I think more generally, I like talking about how makeup products play on dry skin because I think that that's just an area that I've found super frustrating and I want people talking about. And I want to talk about, you know, whether brands are doing a good job in terms of having broad enough shade range, really understanding the market, and providing things that people can use. But when it comes to a lot of product categories, everything out there is adequate, you know. You might like some of it better than others. But there really aren't that many duds coming out. A lot of it does just come down to preference. And so, you know, as a reviewer, it just has me thinking about, you know, where does it make the most sense to focus? And I'm really interested in your thoughts on this too, you know, as the consumers of these reviews. Like, where do you feel like you just wish everybody would, like, get over it? And, you know, what things make you feel like, oh, yeah, that's actually helpful? So I think it's really easy, especially with this flood of copies that we have everywhere, to get caught in the trap of trying to find the best in category for a particular thing. You know, like, I want the best lip oil, I want the best glowy blush wand. I'm going to pick on those a lot because there's so many of them. There's a ridiculous number of, you know. But there are probably things where you go through them more quickly, or you do maybe over the course of the year find that your needs for that change, or I don't know, some amount of that. I mean, I think part of what is interesting to me about reviewing like foundations, concealers, stuff like that, is that your skin changes over the course of the year and over the course of multiple years, you know, because we change. You get older. I mean, the climate conditions change, whatever your skin's reacting to can change. And so finding a foundation for a lot of people isn't just they're going to find the one thing when they're 25 or 30 or 35, whatever. You're going to find that one thing and it lasts for you forever. Probably what you need will continue to change over time and evolve over time, you know, and your preferences change too. There's nothing wrong with that. And so I think that's an area where there's just the most utility in really taking a look at new products on the market and thinking about how they serve, you know, different skin types, different conditions, you know, like, it doesn't get all that humid in Portland. What we think of as humid, the people from the southeast are like, are you kidding me? But we do get damp. Like cold damp. Sneaky palm is just such a good description for this stuff, you know? I'm not even being like super careful or delicate or anything about how I'm blending this out. And I think on camera, what I see in the monitor, I look pretty blanked out. And what I see in my mirror here is just a nice soft amount of color still coming through, you know? And I I like that. Just trying to make sure I didn't miss a spot that's going to kind of come out later. So I don't know if all that made sense. Where was I going with this? Oh, I think that I'm going to, in terms of doing videos, I think that I'm going to do reviews that are of foundation specifically, you know, like I did with the Fenty Luminous foundation. And so have those kinds of videos where it's just about like that product as a base, because your base is so important for how everything else is going to look, right? And maybe, you know, if I talk about skincare, it's probably going to be a category of skincare or a, if not product category, use category, you know, something like that. But when it comes to the blush, bronzer, and, you know, even lip products, I'm not going to do individual reviews or probably even group reviews of those, like as a collection. I'm not that interested in, you know, getting every shade of the NYX butter something bronzer and, you know, swatching them out. There's so many people who are already doing that, and I don't find those personally as interesting to watch. I know some people do. So to me, it's more about finding the common threads, you know, like maybe I want things that all give me a rosier hue, and so I'm going to pick that, and I'm going to pick, you know, like a soft pink lip gloss or something like that, you know. And so finding like those commonalities or uses or, you know, what things pull you from soft glam back into the, you know, clean, natural, no makeup look, or I think finding ways to traverse back and forth between different styles of makeup could be kind of fun too, like those day into night looks, but sort of aesthetic to aesthetic. I think things like that could be fun. But again, let me know, you know, if you've been watching a couple of these now, what things do you think that I'm talking about are kind of the most interesting or compelling, or, you know, what's useful to you? And I have multiple text files of stuff that are like, you know, review video ideas, products that I want to look at, stuff like that. So there's a lot of directions I could go. But I think for right now, my idea is that like every couple of weeks, I'm going to have a foundation review, at least as long as I have things that I think are interesting and relevant to the drier, rosacea, etc. skin type. And then in between, we'll have some videos like this, you know, like maybe a chatty get ready with me, or, you know, let's kind of try a technique or a topic or whatever. Today's like secret topic of the day is liquid blush. Because I didn't think I would like this, but I kind of like this. So we're going to play with that in a little bit. And so, yeah, I think it's an interesting, I should put something down or decide what I'm doing next. I think it's an interesting time to be making videos in terms of beauty content and to be involved in the beauty community in general, because there's clearly some kind of transition happening. You know, anytime you get to peak glowy blush wand or peak, everybody's copying those like clicky lip pen things. And again, how many of those do you need? I mean, need. Anytime you get to those kinds of peaks, it's going to mean that there has to be something else happening after that, you know? You don't just infinitely expand on the number of wand products or whatever. And so I'm really curious about what's actually on the other side of that, you know? Like what kinds of things are going to come out of it. I think for sure I'm seeing a lot of younger creators doing these like soft glam looks and things like that. And so, let's see, I'm going to add just a little bit here maybe. This is the concealer. I just want to like softly blank out this inner corner a little bit more, because it helps distract from the like shape of the eye socket, where I have, you know, more of that exaggerated shape. I lost my train of thought again. Where was I going? Oh, anyhow, so yeah, if you're at peak anything, then something else is going to happen after that. And I think the industry as a whole hasn't quite figured out what that is. And the way everybody looks to like TikTok to generate trends, which are mostly, to be honest, like two people doing most of that. You know, TikTok's also at kind of a funny point where they're talking about making it illegal. I mean, I guess they already passed the law, but you know, we'll see how ByteDance does with their First Amendment claim. Let's get maybe a little bit more here. It's sort of hard to like hold the mirror and the brush and not block the camera view. It's a lot of things to think about at once. All right, feels smooth and even and cool. Next, I think I'll go ahead with my brows. I, again, am doing the usual thing, which I will probably do until I get sick of it, which is to say the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil in Blonde. And the other thread in all of this that I haven't talked about, of course, is inflation and how all of the products have gotten more expensive. You know, there isn't a lot of really cheap makeup at the drugstore these days. e.l.f. started out with a lot of this like $1, $3 stuff, and now, you know, they're this stuff, the Halo Glow liquid filter. This is, I think, a $14 product. It's a nice, heavy, sturdy package, though. But drugstore doesn't really equal cheap anymore. And so probably most people aren't looking, I mean, even just financially, to have a, you know, full basket of lip oils or, you know, really do that sort of completionist thing of like one of everything, you know? Well, and I mean, another way that all of these things are copies and feel like copies is that the lip oils all come in the same colors, basically. You know, there's a pink, there's a coral, there's a sort of rosy brown, there's a, you know, warm brown, like caramel or something. Like, there's not even a lot of variety in the colors. And so I think when you have, you know, limited budget for makeup, even when it's the sort of lower drugstore price point, that, to me, that doesn't feel like a great use of your money. As much as sometimes when I'm actually browsing, it feels tempting. But I remember, you know, whenever I have had multiple colors of those kinds of things, I only use the same one. You know? Okay, let's browse. Next, let's have a look at the Glossier. Is it still a Cloud Paint? Cloud Paint, yeah. In one of their bronzer colors. I have it in Sweat, which isn't the lightest shade, but I think my impression is that it's the most neutral. I think I've only had one other tube of Cloud Paint. Actually, still have. I bought it, never got around to opening it. Recently opened it, swatched it, and wondered why I keep trying to buy peach when I don't like peach on me. Maybe it'll come out in a future video, though. So I think this is pretty liquid. I don't want to get it all over the place. But I don't know how opaque. So I'll try it with this e.l.f. Complexion Duo brush. Just going to tap it on my hand and try to get a little bit more even color here, and then let's start. Oh yeah, that's nice. And it feels very wet. I mean, as it should, but it's just kind of an odd sensation. It's so cool. Nice. Nice and dramatic. Which makes sense. I went with a deeper shade. And I'll blend it out a little bit in a minute. Just get a little bit of definition here on my jawline. And of course, once I get done filming, I'll compare it in natural light and probably take a selfie. And if you want to see how things are looking, you know, later in the day, or just generally kind of what I've been trying, how it's going, follow me on Instagram, because I post pretty frequent updates about things and just, you know, show off the things I've been trying, any complaints I have that have come up, you know, the usual. So you might find that interesting. All right, taking another blob of cloud paint. Feels like it would be easy to go through this fast, just because it's so wet. One of the problems of having the mirror kind of off to the side here is that I'm never sure if I'm actually putting the same amount on both cheeks. So my lighting is even here. My monitor isn't quite big enough for me to tell some of the details. So, you know, feel free to inform me in the comments too. I feel like I'll know, you know, if the channel's getting kind of an upswing in views when somebody starts telling me, Audrey, you're doing it wrong. Thankfully, all of you have been so nice so far. I appreciate it. You know, we're all learning, right? Okay, switching brushes back to what I used for the foundation here. I'm just gonna soften up that edge a little bit. Give myself a smoother fade. When I checked earlier, there's 24 of you now who've subscribed, and that's also pretty cool. You know, I feel like having a small channel could be nice in that as it grows just a little bit more, I can get to know people and get to talk to you about some of the things that you're doing, you know, and find out like what are your goals, or, you know, like I watch videos for relaxation. I watch them just to have kind of a, you know, friendly voice in the background. I watch them when I'm trying to talk myself out of buying something, because sometimes watching people like, you know, review stuff or do like try on hauls kind of scratches that itch without me actually having to purchase anything. And that, you know, that's helpful. Especially when I'm unemployed. Okay. I feel like there's something a little muddy going on in my cheeks, but I can't tell that's lighting or rosacea or what. So I'm just going to not stress about it. Again, I'm sure when I look at this later, I'll have some thoughts. It is pretty funny, like, editing the footage tends to help me like learn about what I'm doing, what is working, what isn't, a lot faster than just, you know, taking a selfie and looking at it and that kind of thing. Because in order to do all of the edits and find, you know, like those weird awkward gaps where I'm like, what was I going to say? You know, to clean that stuff up, I get a lot of time to look at like my bronzer placement and to ponder if I got anywhere near what I was aiming to. But what I wanted here was to be sort of softly shaped and bronzed, just in some areas that add a little bit more definition, because when I do the liquid blush, we're going to like add something pretty vibrant to this part of my face, and I don't want to compete with that, you know, because I mean, having too much color on my face is going to look kind of muddy and weird, and over layering things is, yeah, again, not going to give me the like softer, lighter, it's going to be 80 degrees today and I don't care kind of look, right? So I think now it is time for me to be bold and try this blush thing. Be bold with blush. That's got to be somebody's campaign. Hopefully I'm not mixing too much bronzer in. Let's see. Liquid blush. Yeah, I have the e.l.f. liquid blush brush. And on their website, I have tried this. On their website they say, take the applicator and put 1 dot on each cheek. When I did it, actually it came out fine. The time that didn't come out fine, I put like a whole swipe of it on my hand and then I put that on the brush, and that was a lot of product. It came out fine, but it also just feels like, I don't know, it takes a lot of focus to get it right. And so I'm putting that single dot onto my hand, kind of buff it into the brush, and then I'll take that onto my cheek, starting, I think starting here, like, and just kind of tap it in up onto the side of the nose that I blanked out. That's fine. Kind of up, not too far into the ear. So that's one side versus that. And I am going to kind of also bring it into the under eye area just the tiniest bit, because again, I don't want to highlight the edge of the eye socket. I want things to kind of blend into it. So, and I think with a fuller coverage kind of foundation that blanks out more of my rosacea, I'll get different effects, you know? I do have some pinkness coming through, especially because I've been touching my face a lot. It's weirdly, I feel like I'm not seeing a lot lay down there, and I don't know, maybe it's just not kind of coming through with the lighting. I don't know. But let's do the other side. So with more pink coming through like this, I think it just turns the rosacea again from that kind of like dull flatness that it can give my face into looking like there's just a little bit more of a fresh glow to it, you know? And I find that that can help distract from the other areas of redness and the overall, like maybe the overall critiques that I have with my skin tone. All right, another little blob on my hand. Get it on the brush again, even it out. And then the question, of course, is going to be, since I'm really not doing anything else today at this point, how bright do I want to go? You know, in the privacy of my own home. I feel like I come a little bit lower here. It's quite pink. Just, yeah, I don't know why. It feels like there's that one area where I wasn't getting as much. Oh, there we go. All right. So that's been fun. And to my surprise, I don't hate it, which I kind of, as I've said before, I don't really tend to play with blush because I'm usually trying to make my face less pink, not more. So it's been interesting to play with it from almost an artistic perspective, you know, like how can I use blush to draw attention to different parts of my face, take it away from other parts of my face, you know, just emphasize various details, and yeah, just finding like different ways to experiment with that and do things that don't necessarily feel like me. Oh, and that was the other thing that I was thinking about, right? That like a lot of influencers tend to just kind of do the same makeup look all the time because, you know, that's what they're relaying, right? As their aesthetic, their personal choices, and that's the like relatable or aspirational aspects of it. And I think that I think there's a lot of enjoyment that you can get out of it, but I also think, like as a reviewer or content creator, there's a lot of value in also like deliberately stepping outside of your comfort zone, doing things that you wouldn't necessarily wear every day, showing how adaptable things can be. You know, if you always just do the same makeup look, then people will see how different products lend themselves to that, but they won't necessarily find out what else the product can do, you know? And they might not even learn how to problem solve with different aspects of it. Especially if everything you use is like really in your comfort zone, as opposed to deciding to learn how to make liquid blush work. I feel very pink right now. I think I look very pink. In the mirror, it doesn't look overdone. I think on camera, I think the rest of my face is looking a little bit more contrasty. Looking a little bit more contrasty than what I see here. The mirror is picking up more of the natural light outside. Yeah, so another thing that I'll think about when I review the footage and get to editing it. But I don't know, I've been enjoying it. It's always, to me, it's more interesting to keep trying things and learning and even kind of screwing up and once in a while and finding out what that's gonna do too. So the other thing about this is that I suspect that you know, it may not look this bold at an hour. I wouldn't be surprised if the color kind of soaks into the other products a little bit and mellows out. And so perhaps I'll post some wear notes on that specifically if anybody's curious. But what else do we think this needs? I feel pretty glowy, so I don't think that I don't need highlighter, but I do have a highlighter. Maybe I'll just a tiny bit. This isn't a new product either, but I have the luminizer from Burt's Bees in the shade... Good question. I don't know. Starlight. This is apparently the shade of Starlight. Yeah, I picked this up a while ago, never opened it. Recently thought either, you know, I need to declutter it or use it. And so it's a rosy highlighter. And I'm rosy today. I think it comes, I mean, it must come in other shades that are not all pinkish. But maybe I'll even use a brush. So I have a little bit on my hand. You can see how pink I am from that. I didn't even say what color this is. So my liquid blush today, this is the e.l.f. Camo liquid blush. And I have it in coral. I don't know why they don't put the names like in big letters instead of that tiny print. I think it's something like Coral Crush. I will make sure that it's in the description though. Yeah, and I know people have been saying it's comparable to the Rare Beauty liquid blushes. I don't have one to compare, so I don't know. I might pick it up to try at some point, but again, if the colors are really similar, I just feel like it's kind of silly to get like the same thing at multiple price points. You know, it's not new products, so you can find so many people who've already done that comparison. But if they had, I don't know, like something else that's in the same color family, but kind of takes in a different direction, that's where it feels like it could be interesting to me. So I'll have to kind of have a look at what they have going on. And I'm just putting my highlight kind of in that like brow bone area. I find if I come too far down here, you know, like people often do sort of like right up here at the top of the cheekbone, again, it just tends to emphasize that line of the eye socket in a way that I personally don't want. Like that was the biggest change that sort of startled me about my face as I got older, was that I went from having just like a little pocket there to, you know, if my face is too completely blanked out, it feels to me pretty overwhelming visually. Even ghoulish. So I'm kind of giving myself like a little triangle of glow here at the, beyond the outer corner of my eye. Not too far. Just as kind of a thing to experiment with. And my skin is naturally a little, it's interesting, it's naturally a little luminescent here in the like upper eye area, like if you look at my eyelid. And so like even just adding a little bit to that kind of doesn't look totally unnatural, although from some angles I can definitely tell that I've got the highlight thing going on. I'm going to, I think, blend that out with my concealer brush just a little bit to, you know, just make sure I don't have any like harsh edges on that. So I want it to kind of apply onto things and not feel like it sits on top. So yeah, I think like that maybe. Just add a little bit more luminance into that eye area. So, all right, I'm now rosy. I am extra glowy. I feel like I need to blend the bronzer on my neck. From some angles, I can see a line. Okay, so last I just need to decide between a couple of lip products. I don't really have anything on my lips right now. I just picked up the Naturium Phyto something lip balm. So, but it's in clear. I just had a little bit on my lips earlier. It's so funny. This is a digression also, but it's so interesting how like different colors on your face really get emphasized by different makeup colors. Like I am not wearing like anything tinted on my lips, but they seem like the color seems very prominent, you know? And I guess I can decide whether to kind of lean into that and emphasize that, or if I want to kind of go a little duller, or if I want to tone it down a little bit maybe. So, all right, today's possibilities. We, of course, still have the Merit lipstick in 1990. I think that's a little too muted for what I want to do right now. I also grabbed, speaking of buying one of every lip oil, I didn't go that far though. I have the NYX Fat Oil in clear. My Main? Is that a name? When I looked at it, I felt like, yeah, again, all the colors just seemed like they were the same colors I was seeing everywhere, and from the website it was kind of hard to tell what any of them were really going to look like, so I got clear. The e.l.f. lip oil is very slightly minty, and this one is fruity, and to me that is the main difference between the two. This is maybe a little thicker. So if I just want to, you know, emphasize or just go with the natural color of my lips, then clear lip oil could be a nice option. And then the new thing that I have is this Sephora lipstick. All it says is 11 for the color, and I don't remember the name of the product line at all, other than it's a little bit more like sheery, like a balmy formula, I think. And this I picked up in the Sephora sale. I haven't even tried it on yet, so let's do that at least and find out what it's gonna look like. It might be a little too much of one thing with the blush. I do like the texture. It's, yeah, it's extremely balmy, and with a bright color like this, it's going to bleed over the edges. So, something to keep in mind if you're using it. You can, of course, use a lip liner to kind of hold things in place. But this isn't going to be a long-wearing formula, so it might just be that you, you know, use a little bit of concealer or powder or something to kind of clean up the edges and call that good. So we have that option. I think without the blush, I'm going to like this a lot. It does, to me, definitely get a little too girly and a little too like pink on pink on pink otherwise. But if I'm wearing something like the Fenty Luminous Foundation, again, which I still absolutely love this, I had to talk myself out of using it today just because I felt like I hadn't touched the Salt New York palette in a couple of weeks, and I know for me it's very easy to get into a rut where I'm just using the same thing over and over again, forgetting what else I like. So I try to, you know, move things around and pull things in and out of rotation pretty frequently to deal with that. But yeah, so I love the color, but it's not what I want today. So I'll take that off and leave it for another day in another video, you know? I think just a nice glowy little bit of bronzer in this would be ideal kind of summer look for me. I think I'm still a little pink on the lips, I mean. So I'm not sure if that's just sticking around, me being a little like extra aware of how pink I was to begin with, or if there's a little bit of a staining ability to this. That's something I can also report back on. Yeah, now that I'm looking like that, I want to tone it down. So let's take... I also have a couple of lip liners from NYX, the Line Loud. I think this is a newer color, Sassy. And this is kind of a more muted brown. So let's see how that feels with all this pink, pink, pink. I'm just filling in a little bit on the lower lip. It's not looking like the most even color, which is, you know, more of a user error thing than the pencil. So I'm not being the most careful, but it adds something a little bit darker to the lip, a little darker to the look. Definitely some added definition here, so that I'm not just, you know, hazy pink. Yeah, I think I'm liking that. So let's put the clear gloss on over the top and call it a look. What I don't like about clear gloss and all of that together is I don't want my clear gloss to get kind of a gross color. You know? It's possible I'm making things worse. So I'm actually gonna be weird and just put some on my finger. I don't know if it's weird. Messy. Going to be messy. Feels like I've got something bleeding around one edge. See if I need to clean up the edges. Yeah. Okay. Maybe a little bit of a messy thing to do together. But this is why we experiment. All right, and then I'll just use my foundation brush one more time to clean up. That's kind of my favorite thing, just to, you know, lightly go back over without having to be like really careful about the edges. Usually if I close my lips like that, I can get close enough in the ballpark. All right, so kind of a glossy nude brown lip. A lot of blush, very blushed. Nice lightweight feeling makeup look. The Sneaky Balm really is great for when you want just a little bit of coverage without feeling like you've got, you know, really anything on. With makeup, I always want to be able to move my face and talk and all of that kind of stuff without having a sense of like, you know, the presence of stuff on my skin. So formulas like that are just really excellent in that regard. So there we go. Look at that. It's very, very pink. But it's been fun to play around with it. And, you know, I think if I can find, actually what I think I'd like is to see if I can find kind of a more muted color of liquid blush, either that or mix it with the cloud paint. You know, that's an experiment that I haven't tried yet, but putting these two together might be nice for getting like kind of a more nude wash of color on my face. So that might be the next kind of thing I do. But yeah, I guess I was going to say something in conclusion. I think I was going to say the sort of the topics that I'm circling around are like, okay, so it's good for me to experiment just personally, and also I think as a reviewer, get out of my comfort zone, you know, not just like narrow down on we're always going to do one look and one kind of thing, because I don't think, I just don't think it's that interesting for me to do. You know, other creators are going to have different feelings about that. And I think for the viewer, it's really helpful, you know, the sort of review consumer. I feel like when there's so much of the same on the market, something has to add depth, you know? And that depth can come from finding different ways of using products, or finding, you know, what does and doesn't matter. Like minor differences in lip oil formula, really not that big of a deal at the end of the day, unless there's something like you just can't stand the texture of, or those like clicky lip pen things. I think they're lipsticks basically. You know, when all of these things are just same, then, and you know, you still care about makeup, why else are you watching this? You have to find the dynamics, the dynamism from somewhere. And so I think that's kind of what I'm going to be pushing on, in addition to the things I've talked about already in terms of how products work on dry skin, how products and colors like do and, you know, don't play against your rosacea, and the, you know, that aspect of makeup as a reflection of, you know, who you want to present yourself to the world. I think there's this other element of it that I want to poke at, of like, so where do we find the creativity, the dynamics, the exploration, you know, that isn't just chasing TikTok trends or, you know, like skimming something out of the saturated market, because I think there's more there. And so with that kind of long-winded wrap up, yeah, I have nothing bad to say about any of the products I tried today. If they sound interesting to you, you know, check it out. This is definitely a liquid bronzer with an adequate amount of pigment. This is a highly pigmented liquid blush, which for deeper skin tones, you absolutely need that. So I'm not going to complain that like I have to go light with it. That's silly. I'm not the one who isn't, you know, getting their makeup needs met in that respect. You know, I don't have an opinion about the highlighter thing. I probably just need to mix it in with other stuff. So yeah, you know, perfectly good set of products, nice and springy kind of look. And I think if this was interesting, fun, you just, you know, want to hear me ramble on for, I don't even want to know how long it's been today, then you should subscribe, stick around, hang out, chat, let me know what you're looking for, and I think we'll have fun together. So with that, I'll see you soon. Take care of yourself, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye.